All right, so I think we live. I think we live.
We live. What up? What up, y'all? What up, y'all?
Yeah.
little technical confusion this week. You know what I'm saying? But all good. We here. We live. You know, NFC Beast. Another wonderful episode. Me and the man himself, Couch Coach, gonna be hanging out with y'all tonight, talking some NFC East.
Yeah.
You know, best division of football. You feel me? So,
Thanks.
I mean, Couch, we already know what the deal is. We know what we're talking about here, bro. So we can get into it. We ain't really
Sure.
gotta, you know what I'm saying, hang on too much. Hey, this is
Yeah.
all us. So we'll start off here. We can review the games from week 9, our divisional matchups. So first one, we had the New York Giants versus the Las Vegas Raiders. What do you think about that particular matchup, sir?
It was crazy. I mean, it's just one of those where it's just, Raiders, they did their thing. And huge shout out to Coach Antonio Pierce, getting his first home win, his first win in his career. Hopefully, one of many, and hopefully he'll be, the interim title will be stripped from him. Come next year, he can become the head coach here. And yeah, I mean, just another rough start for the Giants, man. It's another one where, it's starting to become a abysmal season now. Obviously with the news of Daniel Jones being out for the year. It's really disheartening, I think, for this New York Giants team. But they just keep on fighting to the end. But it was a tough one.
But do you really feel like losing Daniel Jones is a bad thing?
Well,
for the Giants.
Tony DeVito's their quarterback, and then Tyrone's on IR. So it's kind of one of those where, granted, yeah, if in a normal circumstance now if Tyrod was there, I could be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But but you're really essentially starting your third string quarterback. He'll be your starting quarterback for the foreseeable future for the what? Because I think if you're in IR, you're about 4 weeks, 3 weeks in, I think. So give or take. Unless you like Tommy DeVito, cool. I mean, let me know. You in the fan club and all.
I'll say this, man. For me, if you're the Giants, I feel like I think we got to echo.
You got to echo, yeah.
Yeah, we got to echo. Hey Ben, do you have us on? Because we got a bad echo. Okay. For me, man, I think honestly, man, just play the veto. You know what I'm saying? It'll end up how it end up. Get you a good draft pick and try to invest into your future. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like, I mean, you paid him, but we both know he ain't the future. That was 1 year, and he picked the right year for him financially to have a solid season, but he's not the future there. Yeah. So just go ahead, let DeVito get a little experience, and keep it moving, bro. We all had years where it's like it is what it is. I mean, I think the problem is in our division sometimes teams don't want to just let the bottom come out. You know what I'm saying? Don't be 7-9, be 4-13. Like just you know what I'm saying? Just really be bad.
Yeah.
For 1 year, get you some solid picks. You got a head coach who was the coach of the year last year. So if you give him some weapons, give him some time, give him the right things in there, I think the team can be fine in the long run. Let's let DeVito get him a little experience, and I mean, ride with it. I would tell you one thing though. If I ever see Antonio Pierce in the streets, I think I'm switching on the sidewalk, bro. Antonio Pierce looks like he will knock you out.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's on. If on site was a person, is him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean,
go ahead, Coach.
yeah, you like you said to your point with the situation with the Giants. I mean, they got a quarterback in your backyard, cool, by the name of Drake May. So I mean, he may fall into their laps if I think they currently at fourth place, fourth pick overall. So hey,
If that happened, that would be interesting. I will say that
it
that would
will
be
be.
interesting. I would be shocked if they let him if he falls to them. I think they're going to at least win one more game.
Hmm.
The Giants, maybe a couple games, because
Possibly.
you never know. By the end of the season, certain teams may not even be worried about who's playing, so it might just kind of be like just chill, chill.
Yeah, possibly.
But we'll see how it play out, man. We will definitely see. It will be interesting to be a part of the process and see how this all
Sure.
shakes down.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on, man, and we'll talk about the Commanders versus the Patriots game. And I want to say there was another guy on here besides yourself who picked you to beat the Patriots, and that would be your boy.
Oh yeah. It was unanimous last week. Definitely, definitely appreciate my NFC East brethren for the vote of confidence. It was a good game. I mean, you look at it from the standpoint, obviously, you look at the player Sam Howell. Once again, he just continues to show that he is, you know, you know, the best quarterback we've had since Kirk Cousins. I was really impressed because obviously we always know the thing with Bill Belichick going against young quarterbacks, they usually fail. But he definitely passed the test. I think one thing too, you looking at game, obviously there was a uncanny interception in the end zone, which I always say that once he gets a grip of his offense, I think he get greedy, and I think that was one instance where he got greedy on that play. You look at just the effort, and then our rookies. I think our rookies did a great job. It had KJ Henry had a sack, but they brought it back. Then you look at the play of Emmanuel Forbes kind of getting back to his starting position and doing his thing, and then obviously, Quan Martin making the play to pretty much seal our victory. And yeah, it was one of those wins. I know people say, well, the Patriots are garbage, but hey, they all grown men. They all playing for a check. So I was proud of the effort. I mean, now can this carry over to the next week and going forward?
No, I dig it. Yeah, for me, man, it was an easy move. Simply, what's going on, Ben? It was an easy move simply because the Commanders are a much better team. No disrespect to the Patriots, but the Commanders are a much better team. The Patriots have whack and cheese at quarterback. Whack and cheese can't get the job done.
Michael.
Sam Howell, to me, and I mean, I said this, I think he's a guy that's going to be a good quarterback for the Commanders long term. Not gonna have great year one because it takes time, right? It's the NFL. It takes time to kind of get everything
Yep.
together, get your game together, learn the speed of the game, understand everything about the game, all the subtle things. So it's going to take him some time. But once you allow him that time, you're starting to see him getting the yards and things. One thing he's not doing on a consistent basis is being a difference in wins and losses. And that's okay for a rookie. A guy in his first 17 starts, I consider a rookie. I don't care if you're on the team last year or not. So
Yep.
when you get that first full year as a starter, to me, that's when you kind of go through it. That's when you got to go through the fire, and that's when you see if a guy can play or not. And I feel like Sam Howell has shown so far that he can play in the NFL. Whether he can be a guy that can help a team win a championship, help a team get deep in the playoffs, be a perennial contender, only time will tell. But he has shown that he can be a quarterback in the NFL with consistent, good games as far as statistics go. The nuances, the maybe I only throw for 150 yards, but my team wins by 2 touchdowns because I'm the difference maker. That's going to be something that's going to happen, and that's going to happen over time. So we've got Ben here with us as well. Ben, we're just doing a recap of the Commanders and Patriots games. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
All right,
Yep.
cool beans. So, interesting that the Commanders got the win. Being here in Massachusetts, trade your two best players, or arguably two best players, and next week go out and get the W. I'm not quite sure if that says more about the Patriots or the Commanders, to be completely honest. But Sam Howell has, showed something thus far. I think he's worth, it's still to be determined what his career is going to be. But I think that he's proven that at least he, is a legitimate quarterback to the point of, at worst case scenario, he's going to be in the league for 10 plus years as a backup. Worst case, in my eyes. But yeah, it was a little bit surprising. Trade your two best players and go out and win. But then again, the Patriots are 2-7. So I don't know. Does it say more about Washington or more about the Patriots or combination of both? I'm kind of combination of both.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, these were two guys that were prior administration guys. I mean, obviously have talent, no doubt about that. That's why people were willing to trade for them and give up assets for them. But the Commanders probably didn't. Well, obviously the Commanders didn't see them as pieces that couldn't be replaced long term. So you're starting over.
Yep.
You need a lot of talent. So I mean, I'm with saying, you know what, this is a good player, but we can give him up. We can get some assets. We can save some money by not having to pay a guy, and we can move on. I think that was a wise decision for the Commanders and one of the few that they've made personnel-wise with veteran guys in the last couple of years. But that's what happens when you get new ownership. You guys who are not complete idiots.
Can I throw something at you, though? Do you think that they needed to trade both of them, Young and Sweat?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be at least one. Because I think they've already kind of invested in that D-line. You look at, like, as far as John Allen got that big deal, and then Deron Payne got the big deal last year. So I thought it was going to be one. I didn't think it was going to be two. I figured I know a lot of people were saying, like, Montez is going to have a better offer. So I figured he was going to be like what I call like the casualty out of the four. But, I was shocked. The Chase one, I think, it was a little bit shocking, but I kind of understand the rationale behind it.
Man, them Niners. Whew.
So I knew Chase Young was
rich get richer.
I knew Chase Young was going to get traded because he's too injury prone, right? He can go to another team and he may be great, but in Washington he's too injury prone. So you want to go in and get an asset for a guy who hasn't been there to really help your team the last couple of years, and not because he's not a good player, but because he can't stay healthy. So I think the Commanders did a great job in saying, "Hey, I'm going to go and get some assets for guys that we were probably going to lose for nothing and get better than what I would have gotten if we just let them walk."
Yeah, but definitely better in comp picks for sure.
All right. So we are joined by our other Commanders contributor, Mr. Martin himself. Martin,
What's going on, guys?
Not much, but you have great timing. We're discussing the Commanders Patriots game for last week, man. So your thoughts, sir?
Oh, my spider sense was going off, so it told me to just go ahead and click in real quick.
Spider sense, huh? I got you.
I like the way the team performed overall last week against the Patriots, even though the Patriots is not who we think they are at this moment in time. But for us to trade Chase and Montez away, I wanted to see what the defense looked like. I mean, we got some pressure on Mac Jones, made him uncomfortable. We didn't get no sacks. We got close, but we got robbed out of a sack. I like that how Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy is growing together with each other now. They're getting more. The offense is way more fluent. Even though Curtis Samuels didn't play, but you saw other guys stepped up and everything. Jahan finally started coming to life. The running game is being balanced within the passing game. B-Rob and Antonio Gibson did a great job in the passing game. We ran the ball pretty well. All in all, I really, besides that roughing the passer penalty and everything, I mean, I like what the team was able to do. I think we could have still be able to put more points on the board. I think at times we do get a little stagnant. We get too comfortable when we score and then just don't go back to what we normally do in the beginning of the game. So, I mean, overall, even though the Patriots had some injuries on their side, but I mean, you gotta beat the teams to get wins if you just want to continue to be, to grow as a team. So I like the way they did. I think overall the defense played pretty solid. Manuel Forrest finally had a game that he is not getting beat for 155 yards on. So that's just my take on it.
Fair enough. So Ben, you had a question for the Commanders guys?
Yeah. What part of you, if any, wants to see Bieniemy as the head coach next year?
You want to go, Couch? You want to go?
Oh yeah, I can go. I mean, a part of me do. I think. From a realistic. I mean, I put it this way. I would like that, but I know more than likely that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, just the reality of it, because obviously I think with this dude ownership, I think they're going to get rid of everybody. They're going to clean house. They might get rid of me and Martin. Honestly, it's at a point where that could potentially happen. But I think in a perfect world, I think if I would like him to have the opportunity, because I think my biggest thing is maybe they let Ron Rivera go probably before I buy, and then give him maybe like 4 weeks to kind of see what he can do.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like Rivera, I mean, he's done it. I think he's done an okay / good job with Washington, but time has run its course, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if they get rid of him and then he's to get an interim role, but yeah, bad part.
What do you think, Martin?
I got to go back to that comment Couch made and say about they getting rid of me and him. Then that case, I'm going to join Tom Brady and take some kind of ownership with the LA Aces. So, hey, I'll be good with that. Overall, I don't know, because I've been on the fence with this a lot, and because they want to win, they still want to win and try to make the playoffs. I could see it happening. Now, there's been a question that has been brought up to me too. The same question that Ben just asked. What do I do? Make the playoff or tank for the draft? They want to win, so I do want to see the team make the playoff. Some people say, well, hey, I don't want to make the playoff. Well, I want my team to win. At the end of the day, I want them to win. I know it doesn't look pretty at this moment, regardless of everything that's just happened.
I've been wanting my team to win since 1995. That hasn't happened.
Ditto.
Oh man, but great point though. But
that's tough.
To see what happens, I think if some people say, well, we make the playoff, Ron Rivera won't go. I think even if they make the playoffs, they still going Ron Rivera is going to return. I think he's going
to make the playoffs. They lose first round. He's still gone.
Yeah,
Ron Rivera might retire after the season too.
Yeah,
he
might be done.
Too. Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping.
And see, on my show, me and Merle we go back and forth with this all the time, and he said that, well, if Eric Bieniemy goes, Sam Howell is smart enough to have another coordinator. I don't want Sam Howell to have another coordinator. I want Eric Bieniemy to have that chance.
Not a young rookie who was
exactly
fifth round or second year, 5th round pick. Like, he don't need a new OC. That's what ruined Alex Smith in the beginning.
Well,
exactly.
Let me interject for a minute, real quick.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
If you think that getting a new OC is going to ruin Sam Howell, then you don't want Ron Rivera to go. You want Ron Rivera to stay so that Bieniemy can stay the OC. Because even if Bieniemy's the head coach, technically Sam Howell's going to probably have to learn a new system, because a new coordinator would have to come in and they're going to bring their own system.
Not necessarily, because if Eric Bieniemy hires a new offensive coordinator, somebody that probably don't works with him before and knows his system, then that transition could still be the same too.
Well, they could also do like what the Jaguars and the Chiefs do right now. Their head coach calls the plays.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: if Andy Reid's calling the plays, he all of a sudden sucks again.
Well,
but perfect example, the Philadelphia Eagles. We had Shane Steichen calling plays.
Mhm.
Brian Johnson was the QB coach, same staff last year. He got elevated into position. This is not the same offense. So even if you have the same guy on the staff and he moves up, there's no guarantee the next guy is going to do exactly the same thing. So if you really want Sam Howell to grow, you either want Bieniemy to stay as the OC and everything to stay the same, or you want him to stay the OC and another head coach come in.
Well,
That's the thing. If you want Sam Howell to grow the best, that's what you want, in my opinion.
Well, the quarterback coach that's there, I think Eric Bieniemy brought him there, so you could elevate him to OC as Eric Bieniemy go as a head coach, and then the system still stays in place. So that's
not
my
necessarily true, though.
That's what he just said. That he just gave his Eagles example. Though.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's going to do the same thing that Bieniemy does, even though he's from his staff, because he may see the game differently. So he might want Sam Howell to do different things. So for me, if you want Sam Howell to be the best, you want Bieniemy to stay as the OC. If you feel like that's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I just don't want him to lose to leave and Sam takes a step back. That's what worries me the most, because Sam, I think we have our quarterback. I think we have our quarterback. We build that offensive line. We protect them. You see what Sam Howell could do. Right now, Sam Howell is second in the league in passing yards. He's right behind Tua. He ain't that far off. And if, say Sam Howell has a stretch of say we beat Seattle and we beat the Giants and he's passing over 400, probably 3-something hundred yards in the next 2 games, and going to Dallas and we beat Dallas on Thanksgiving, then Sam Howell right now, his stock could go so high because then he'll be leading the league in passing. So there's something for ownership to look at and say, well, hey, he is growing with this guy. We shouldn't mess with this guy right now if he continues to grow with him. Now, if Sam was struggling continue to struggle like he was in the first half of the season with Eric Bieniemy, then I could see them probably moving Eric Bieniemy out. But right now, it's still a waiting period because Eric Bieniemy is his first year there. Ron Rivera made that move because of Scott Suck. I can't call plays Turner. You know what I'm saying?
So, Couch, quick question for you. What do you think? Do you think that it would be better for him? Let's just say, if he could stay as OC, you bring in another head coach, or would you want him to be the head coach? I'm talking about Eric Bieniemy.
So this is and I want to kind of dig myself, but I always say when it builds a team, don't be dumb. Don't reinvent the wheel. You hire a general manager, let that general manager make the decision. Hey, should we keep Eric Bieniemy or not? Get the foundation done. Don't put up the roof before the walls come, like most NFL teams do. I would say I'm gonna trust the general manager, whoever Josh Harris hires, and then from here make that decision. But I mean, I wouldn't mind Eric Bieniemy staying, because I think in his offense, a lot of people say it's really complex to a point where it's going to take years for him to really grasp that playbook, like know it by hand. So it's kind of one, like you said, to Mark's point, where the continuity is going to be gone. So I would definitely love that, but let our general manager that we hire make that decision.
Boo! Cop out answer, boo!
Hey, I'm trying to win. I'm gonna win the right way. I'm trying to win.
I think I would get it done. I feel you.
I feel like one thing we can all agree on is Bieniemy will be with Washington next year. It's just in what role or what capacity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with Ben on that. I don't see.
Should be.
Yeah,
he should.
But
I don't know
one
what the
thing
manager, like Coach said, new GM come in, he may be like, you know what, clean all this out.
But you got to look at Josh.
I also wonder. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I also wonder, like, Washington being so aware of, unfortunately, the previous owner and those stuff. We'll just say, I wonder if they'd be a little bit less hesitant to, quote unquote, get rid of a black coach. Not head coach, but a black coach that finally got an opportunity. maybe they'd be a little bit more hesitant. And I'm not trying to bring a race into it. I'm just saying, given all the allegations and everything that's happened, that might possibly make it less likely that even new ownership will say, Bieniemy, we don't want you anymore. I don't know, just throwing something out there.
Well, I said this. I think everybody is excited. I think Magic likes Bieniemy. Mm-hmm. And I think Magic influence is going to be very pivotal in this decision. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because the fact of the matter is that if you look at Josh Harris' teams, he does allow his general managers to do their thing. You look at Philly, how they do their business. And I think if Magic Doom say, well, hey, we bring a new general manager, but we still want to keep Bieniemy. We want to see him grow with this guy, see what this team could be. Give him another year or so. If general manager come in and say, okay, let's see what he could do. They go back and say, well, okay, they did have some success here and there. They just, some things need to improve here and there. That's why you bring an analytics guy in. He could tell you and say, well, hey, this is what this team really needs to build around to be successful with these two guys. So if you look at Kansas City, Eric Bieniemy is not there, but look how the offense in Kansas City is struggling. They're not putting up points like they've been. They struggling all over around. And if Trevor Kelsey gets hurt, then guess what? Patrick Mahomes struggled. I mean, he's not even like a top fantasy football quarterback. Yes, sir.
We can't talk about that because remember, Eric Bieniemy never called plays and he had no impact on the team.
Quote unquote.
But it doesn't matter if he's there or not. Ask Sean McCoy, who played like 2 snaps and got a ring.
Well, I don't take nothing Sean McCoy say because he was riding with Dion all season long, and then he just disappeared. Even when Sean McCoy was down in Tampa. You know what I'm saying? For that one little stint, I just think that because
he wasn't being serious. He was just pointing out he wasn't being serious. He was just saying, you know what I mean? Like,
because Bieniemy didn't do anything with play calling. So
Bieniemy had nothing to do with it, right? Yeah, no blame, nothing.
Yeah, let Sean McCoy say, he
was just there. He didn't do nothing.
But as us as good football fans, we got eyes, we can see, we like, okay, is a difference. You know what I'm saying? So so me personally, I would like Eric Bieniemy to stay. I like him for all the reasons why, because he's proving that he can call plays. Yeah, he was rusty in the beginning of the season. I granted he was rusty, but now that they start to he learning the personnel more and more and know what he has. And granted, if they didn't make the switch in the offensive line with Chris Paul and Tyler Lawson, then we probably want to see Sam Howell do the things he did for the last couple of weeks. The offensive line change really helped the offense a little bit more so than normal. So that was a good thing to help out Sam Howell for not being sacked as much as he has in the first part of the season too.
All right. So we are going to move on. We're going to use one of Martin's statements as a segue.
Okay.
So Martin stated earlier, first of all, what's up, Scrub Zero? So Martin stated earlier that, and I paraphrase here. This may not be word for word, but I'm paraphrasing. He talked about being stagnant on offense, talked about drives just kind of going nowhere and you just being out there to be out there. And the next game that we're going to review between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys is a perfect example of stagnant drives. So, Ben, I will let you start, sir. I see that Michael Parsons jersey in the background there. Even before you talked about 95. So, we were talking about the Cowboys. So, Ben, talk to me about this. Eagles, Cowboys, what'd you take from the game?
So, I mean, a loss is a loss, right? I mean, you play to win, you play to lose. So, walking out of that week or that game, it was a bummer, especially to have a chance at the end. Obviously, huge penalty, 27 seconds left at the 6-yard line, big penalty, big sack. So it was a bummer to get all the way down there at the end of the game. And then obviously didn't get it done. But if I'm being completely honest, the 49ers, I don't care what happened since they stomped us. They stomped us. They absolutely annihilated us. And So now, besides the 49ers, who's the best team that we are going to play? Eagles. So the measuring stick game. And yeah, we lost, but we were right there. And Dak played well. He really did. I mean, his foot was this much out of bounds that didn't get the 2-point conversion. I think that could have been anybody, to be honest. That could have been even Lamar, was the most athletic quarterback. Like, that could have happened to anybody, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think anybody could have been this close to that 2-point conversion. Dak played really well. No turnovers on the road. You can say that was a bad sack at the end, but you can also say he had absolutely no chance. 2 guys in his face, like, immediately. So I can't really put much on Dak on that game. And to be honest, as a fan, walked away slightly more confident than but also being completely honest, I don't care what the Niners have done since. There's a mental block there. If we have to face them in January, I would bet $0.00 that we were going to win that game. There's an absolute mental block with the Niners and the Cowboys. So, in my opinion, if we go far in the playoffs, which clearly isn't going to happen, hasn't happened since '95, but if we were going to, we would absolutely have to avoid the 49ers.
All right, so we got a couple of comments here. We got BS3 with a "What's up, fellas?" He also says disappointing loss by the Cowboys. Scrubs says shout out to Yak Prescott for stepping out of bounds of the 2-point conversion. BS3 says can't capitalize on big moments. I agree. Dak might have had his best game, and laugh at Scrub 0. So from the Eagles, man, another game that was disappointing. Another game where we didn't play up to our potential. Honestly, it borders in a lot of places for me for a trash game. Very disappointed in the fact that we don't even run the ball enough to where guys know, where A.J. Brown knows how to cut through and clear things out and not knock his own guy out and make him fumble the ball. That shows how little they actually work on running the ball, which translates to why we never run the ball. Which is disappointing.
Which, by the way, also doesn't make any sense. DeAndre Swift was like top 3 in the league rushing yards for like 5 or 6 weeks.
Until the Eagles realized, oh, wait a minute, we're running the ball. What are we doing? That's how we win. So a lot of disappointment on just play calling for the Eagles. This has been a constant since the preseason. Another big concern defensively is actually making plays. Like, we'll be in the game, but we went a fourth quarter without scoring, not even a field goal, right? If we're playing most teams, and even it could have been this Dallas team, you cannot win games where you're playing that way. So I have a laundry list. We don't even have time because we're not going to spend 20 minutes on us like we did with Couch Coach and Martin on the Commanders. But there's a laundry list over 20 minutes.
You know what?
That I can give you of things that are wrong with the Eagles. But there is one thing I will say, and I'll end with this simple statement. We are 8-1 going into the bye. Hopefully some of this stuff gets cleaned up because I feel like we are accidentally falling into wins. So if we can really clear things up, I think this team can be very dangerous. In Kansas City, Cincinnati, Baltimore, I'm talking to you.
I want to interject something real quick. Since you said that, I think that since you said Cincinnati, I think that's another team. That's my Super Bowl pick anyway, Cincinnati. And I just think that they are, to me, probably going to be the most dangerous team in the AFC because the fact of the matter is that Joe Burrow is healthy. And they, I think we'll see in the next couple of weeks, especially on Thursday Night Football when they play the Ravens.
Ravens, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I mean, I watched the Dallas and the Eagles game. I honestly, I mean, I don't know. I want to eat. We had a chance to beat the Eagles twice.
Yep.
Everybody had a chance to beat the Eagles.
Y'all should have
blown out.
Sorry,
It
I
wasn't
know
blown
I'm going back like a month, but y'all should maybe further than a month. Y'all definitely should have won for 2 in Philly
Yeah.
at the end of the game. In my opinion, you go for 2, you go for the win. Either you win or you lose. I don't know.
I say this all the time. If you're gonna beat it, if the Eagles are the team of the NFC right now, regardless of what the 49ers do, they've been on a roller coaster. I think the Eagles are the team to beat over there. And in regardless of it's Dallas, Detroit, 49ers, Commanders, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger 2, whoever it is that's playing them. I think oh man. I use that I use this is the second time this week I use that Winnie the Pooh analogy. You have to play 4 quarters. It's you can't take and I think Dallas had it right there in their hand. Now that pirouette spin that Dak did, and everybody was making a mean of it, of everything from him. I mean, that if he got in the end zone, that could have changed the game pretty much. If he got it.
And I'm not here, even as a Cowboys fan, I know about 98, and that might be putting it lightly, 98% Cowboys fans you can't talk to. They're delusional. They're irrational. Can't talk to them.
My brother-in-law.
I'm not placing any blame on the refs necessarily because the penalty yards were about the same. Not Ferguson, the other tight end who got tackled before his knee was down short. Okay, fine, that's a penalty. Okay, missed call. It is what it is. We had a chance at the end. So penalties and the refs, not an excuse to me. I mean, we got down there to the 6 based upon penalties on the Eagles that were all, to be fair, legitimate penalties. Dumb penalty
on the penalty on the Reddit was not a penalty. There's no way that was a penalty. There is no possible way you could convince me that was a penalty. But I don't cry about it even if we lose. But that wasn't a penalty. But it is what it is. You just don't touch it.
I mean, ultimately, it was a good game. I think that from both sides, things to walk away from that you're annoyed about and pissed off about, and things you're okay with on both sides. Dallas is their schedule at the end is hard. They got to get through these next 5, in my opinion, if they have any chance to win the NFC East, which I would say is less than 5% chance, but not impossible. But if they have any chance, they got to go 5-0 the next 5 weeks. Have to. It's Washington at home, not in order. So this week, Giants at home, at Carolina, Washington at home, Seattle at home, Philly at home. To win the division, you got to win those 500%. Have to.
It's tough 5. Eagles got a tough schedule coming up too, but then
it's easy at the end. Ours is the opposite. We end with at Buffalo, at Miami, Lions at home, at Washington. That's our last 4.
Washington could still be good. They can't have lost their heart. The Giants will have lost their heart by then. We played them twice the last 2 weeks with the Cardinals in the middle. We should go 3-0.
Exactly. The end is your gauntlet is now. Yeah. Our gauntlet is the last 4 weeks. Basically,
we got Chiefs.
That Cardinals loss might come back to bite us. We're the only team they beat. So
that's tough.
I mean, that if we lose the division by 1 game, everybody can point to that game.
Absolutely. So, guys, we're going to move on to NFC's QB questions heading into the second half of the season. So we'll start with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, but we have questions for every quarterback. All right. So will Jalen Hurts return to MVP form? Is the first question. Each quarterback has 2 questions. So, Couch Coach, we'll start with you and we'll just swing around. I'll go last. Will he return to MVP form in your opinion? Yes, no, you can expand if you want to. You can just say yes or no, however you want to answer the question, sir.
I'm gonna say no, because I think he got that lingering that leg injury. Something's going on, and people, So yeah, I say no.
Oh, you waiting on me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a no for me too. I think him being nicked up is going to be an issue. I mean, well, they're on the bye, so he should be fine coming back. But he gonna have to. They're gonna have to like really turn it on. I mean, like literally turn it on in the second half of the season for him to really get back in that conversation right now, because I just don't. I mean, it's gonna be hard for him. So my answer is no.
Ben, what you think?
My answer is no, but for none of the reasons they said. Respectfully, I'm not saying you're wrong. They're all good reasons. Don't take it like that. I know we really don't know each other, but it's not what I'm saying. I think the answer for me, the answer is no, is because they don't need him to be. Doesn't need to be. So they're 8-1 with him playing at not MVP level. Granted, they probably could be 6-3, possibly, or even maybe worse than that. But they're winning. They're 8-1. So to me, they don't need him at MVP level. So that's why my answer is no.
My answer is no, because I have a wild belief that we're going to actually run the ball. So it's going to be this crazy thing called less attempts for him, less passes, less opportunities, because we're going to actually run the ball. I don't know if that's just me being a fan and having blind belief, but I have faith that at some point the light's going to go off and we're going to say, oh, if we just run the ball 20 times, 25 times, with our top back, maybe 20 times.
Imagine
another 10 times with Kenneth Gainwell, because for some reason Nick Sirianni is in love fest with Kenneth Gainwell, and then Penny gets 5 or so carries a game. We don't need Jalen Hurts to throw about 20, 25 times a game, so he's not going to have the stats to be in the MVP conversation, which is what I hope happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say no as well.
What I was going to say is, imagine the Ravens told Lamar, you're going to throw it 40 times, we're going to run 10 times. That's what Philly's been doing.
Yes, they have. So Scrub Zero says, Washington fans stay being abused by their team. That's wrong. Anthony Price says, AP says, Eagles are the 22 Vikings team. AP, that just proves that you ain't been, that just proves you're trolling. That's all that really proves, is that you're trolling. Troll away, sir. Scrub says, Giants had no heart to begin with. That's sad from a Giants fan. Anthony Price then says no for Hurts. Scrub says Jalen Hurts will not return to MVP form so long as the Eagles refuse to pound the rock. But if they pound the rock, he's not going to be MVP form, because then he's not going to have enough stats to be MVP, because MVP is a stats thing. He can go out there and complete every pass, but he only gets 250 yards to the touchdown and a running touchdown. That's not going to make him MVP. To be MVP, he's got to go through 360 yards. He's got to have 30, 35 attempts a game. So he's not going to have the stats if we run the ball to do it, which I hope is the reason why he doesn't even get mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then Scrub says, got my man's Hurts passing too many times as it currently is. Completely agree, Scrub. I think Hurts will be in MVP form with the support via the run game. Yeah, he could be in MVP form, but I don't think he'll be in the conversation because the run should take away from it. I hope it does. So the sports judge said Ben is a Carson Wentz lookalike, or is it just me? Jonathan Bathurst, man, you wild, bro. You wild for
you
that.
You are extremely.
And, and then he says, "What's up, fellas?" And he says, "Eagles Foundation is running the ball, pound the rock." That's what it used to be.
Should be.
I don't think Nick Sirianni really feels that, right? And then the other question for the Eagles is, for Jalen Hurts, is this his injury a concern for the remainder of the season? What do you guys think about that? We can go in the same order.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, maybe. I mean, if they don't utilize him running the ball as much, and you rely on the running backs and Swift to run the ball to take some of the load off of him, then no, it won't linger. I mean, so that's be my answer. I think no. I don't think it would, if they be smart about it.
I'm going to say maybe, and I know it's a cop-out, but to me, we'll never know the exact injury until after the season, so we'll never know the severity of it, so we'll never know if it's lingering or not lingering. So to me, without knowing what the actual injury is, I can't really judge it. I mean, all we know right now is it's a knee injury. That could be really anything. So for me, I don't think we'll know the exact severity throughout the entire season. So I don't know. It could linger, might not. I don't know.
All I'll say yes. It's going to be a concern. And the reason is he keep getting hit. He just re-aggravated it. I know all that's been said is it's a bone bruise. That's all that's been said so far. I think it will be a concern because, I mean, this is the NFL, right? There's some dirty teams. Some guys could be targeting that now that they know that that's an issue. It happens. So I think it could be a concern for the remainder of the season. It's something we should be paying attention to. The pocket needs to be cleaner for him. But I think Steen played really well this past week, and that was a position of concern because, our starter there got injured. So Steen had to go in and kind of play that position finally, because before we were putting Suopeta there, who the right guard is not his natural position. But then we went and we made the correction finally. I've been asking before for a while to put Tyler Steen in because he was drafted to play that position. So if I draft you to play a position, you should be playing that position. But it's crazy how things were happening. But I think we're in a better place now as far as everything kind of going down. And I think having Tyler Steen get some snaps at their right guard is something that's very beneficial to the team. That's something that will help now. Cam Jurgens, when he began the season at right guard. So I think this staff seems to, for most rookie players and young players, not want to play them early. I don't like that because I think if you're the best talent, I don't care how long you've been playing, or if you're a guy that we think is going to be the future, play them now and let them get through the tough times when you've got all-stars all around them. You've got the best players that you could have all around them. That's when you need to do it. So we'll see how it rolls, but that would be my thought process on it. Scrub says, I hope the injury isn't a concern, but we'll really see coming off the bye. AP says Hurts taking more hits this year. He definitely is. Talking it real 1000 says, I don't want it to. Yeah, if they don't start running it more, it just may be, which is true. You think that the tuck rule is making it worse on his knees? It may be. It may be. Not really sure. I think, honestly, I think the tush push might have something to do with it too, because you're using a lot of torque and force to explode low in the pocket, and you already have damage to your leg. So I think that may have.
Sorry.
That may have something to do with it. But go ahead.
I was just going to say, if that is the case, and they are either running that tush push less or less effectively, that could become a different concern because right now it's unguardable. Literally, it's guaranteed first. It's like what is the conversion rate? Like 98% when you guys do it. 97. They got one and didn't convert the other week. So 97. So it's like, to me, if the knee either not prevents them, because I think they'll still do it, but if they don't do it as often because of the knee, that could have an impact, possibly. So, I mean, that is pretty much an unguardable play, to be honest.
What you would want to do is not have design runs and just run a tush push, and you'll be fine. The design runs are the concern for me, and what needs to stop. All right, so we'll move on to the Giants, guys. Can the Giants keep a QB healthy? Is the first question. What do you guys thoughts on that? We'll go reverse this time. Ben, we'll start with you.
No.
That's a no for me.
Tommy DeVito, absolutely no.
I'll make that 4 for 4. I'll say no as well. AP says Washington's the only team that stopped it.
Yeah,
they didn't really stop it. It was a bad thing, but they can take credit for it. That's fine.
The only time it didn't work all year was the fumble, right?
Yeah,
that's the only time it didn't work.
Yeah,
so
and they can take credit for that.
It was basically 100% success ratio.
Yeah, they can take credit for that. That's fine. We ain't have to play them anymore this year, so I ain't worried about that. They can have that. That makes them feel good.
If we make the playoffs, you probably have to see us.
Probably not, because if you make the playoffs, you would be no better than 6. You'd be no better than 6.
Yeah, I have a bad week probably.
Hey, I'm just gotta interrupt this. Jaden Daniels is putting on a clinic tonight. I'm just sorry. He just had an 85-yard rush, and he
are you watching them for the Giants for next year?
No, I don't want them to go. I don't want him to go there.
You scouting them for the Giants, man?
I want him to go all the way to New England.
I don't ever want New England to be good. In life, I want New England to be the worst team in the NFL from now on forever. Cheaters.
And he just had a 50-yard run, 51-yard run just now. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, and
I think either Detroit. That's one of Detroit probably.
Yeah. So Scrub says H no. Talking to Real says no. AP says, can I say H no on live? And then Cool, my God, I hate you. Laugh out loud. Oh, Anthony. That is such a nice thing to say to an Eagles fan. Thank you. Scrub says Livewire, a low-key Giants fan.
I guess you want me to take my mask off to show you. Not
the Scooby-Doo. He about to go Scooby-Doo on him.
No, right?
Ruby Roo. All right, so the second question for the Giants, what should be their future plans at quarterback? So, Ben, we'll start with you for this one, too. What should be the Giants' plans at quarterback? What should they do?
Move off of Daniel Jones' contract ASAP, which isn't next year. It's the next year after that, as far as money goes. So, Daniel Jones led him to the playoffs last year, I guess you could say. But he had 15 touchdown passes in 16 games. I don't care how dominant your running game is. 15 touchdowns in 16 games. They got to do something else. It ain't him, to be honest. To me, it's not him. But at the same time, they already proved they don't want to pay Saquon. And frankly, the dude can't stay healthy. So I don't think they made a mistake necessarily not giving him a long-term deal because he's had one healthy season and now I think 6 seasons. So you could be looking at a Giants team in 2 years, no Saquon, no Daniel Jones.
Ooh.
It wouldn't be a shock. They already showed they didn't want to pay Saquon, and Saquon, like I said, I think 6 years in now has healthy 1 season. You can't.
Yeah, that's pretty. I don't know. That's pretty accurate right there, because they could not have neither one of them next year.
No, next year they'll definitely have Jones because it cost them too much money. But the following year they can cut him with very little cap hit. Next year Jones will be on the roster.
Yeah, they need a draft a quarterback They just need to draft a quarterback. It's too many. Depends on what quarterbacks come out of this draft. They need to draft one and then develop them one more year behind whoever is going to be the starter, and then let Brian Dable take over and mold him into how he got Josh Allen over there in Buffalo and roll with it. I mean, because the Giants, they need a lot of talent on that team.
I mean, let's be honest, bigger than the quarterback play. Like, can they actually get an offensive line for the first time since like 2010?
Good Lord.
Like, their offensive line has been bottom 10 for like over 10 years. So arguably that's a little bit more important than the quarterback.
What do you think, Kyle Stokes?
Yeah, I think like we talked about it a little bit earlier, cool in the show. I think it's going to be if they stay at 4. I think there's a potential there, or maybe climb to 3. Where I think there's a potential for them to get Drake May. I think that's the operative plan. I mean, it would be poetic justice that the Duke quarterback is going to have to hold a clipboard for the starter,
North Carolina quarterback.
So, So yeah, I definitely think, like you said, there'll be a year that Daniel Jones will pretty much be the mentor or whoever's their quarterback. So I think Daniel Jones probably will be might start next year at some point. I don't know if he's gonna start week 1, but I can see him, and then they essentially hand the mantle off to another to their quarterback they drafted in 2024.
All right, so I'm gonna go through the comments here. So AP says, I think Drake may go into the Giants. Talking Real says, get rid of them all. Scrub says, anyone who isn't named Danny, hold the L. Jones. Seriously, though, we need to draft a QB. Giants overpaid for a role player at QB. And then AP says, fire sale the whole offense and rebuild. Scrub says, Saquon can't stay healthy because the QB isn't good enough and the O-line hasn't been functional outside of last season. And then AP says, can we say Debo on the hot seat? Scrub says, if the Giants get Drake May, I'm done with this team. May looks like Sam Darnold, and he's another basketball school guy. Shaking my head.
Sam Howell's the basketball. Sam Howell's one.
So,
hey, he's the same club.
I give a little pushback on Scrub on the Saquon, though.
I'm going to agree with AP. Fire sale the whole offense and rebuild. I think anybody on offense can go. If your contract is movable or cuttable, you need to be gone because you could bring in minimum salary guys to do what these guys are doing right now.
Yeah,
so I agree with AP. Cut them and rebuild it. Maybe there's a few people you keep, but for the most part, a lot of those guys, when your contract is up, don't holler at us. We'll holler at you, and we won't holler at you. Drake May, I mean, I think with quarterbacks, there's one thing we have to realize. We look at their talent in college, but I always say this. With quarterbacks, it's the system. If you bring Drake May in and you put him in a system that doesn't utilize his talents, he's going to suck. Yeah. If you put him in a system, no matter how bad you think he is or how much you think he needs to improve, I like Sam Howell. You put him in a system that maximizes what he does well.
Yeah.
While you help him develop the other skills, he's going to be fine. Same thing with Michael Penix Jr. if he comes out. Same thing with a Caleb Williams if he comes out. Same thing with Bo Nix if he comes out, right? If these guys decide that they're not going to tuck tail and use another year eligibility and actually come and play in the NFL, then they all have deficiencies and they all have upside. If you learn how to use their upside properly, they'll be fine. If you don't, they won't be good. So I guess Scrub feels like basically Drake May isn't a guy for the way he wants his team to play. And he may be right. But it doesn't mean Drake May won't be a good quarterback. It just means he doesn't feel like he'll be a good quarterback for the Giants. All right, so we'll move on to the Cowboys. Is Dak the long-term answer at QB for Dallas? So I'll start this one so that Ben can go last for his team. To me, it's a yes and a no question. I think the question is this: is Dallas ready to say, we have a good team, but it's not a great team? We're going to go ahead and rebuild. We're going to go ahead and bottom out, get the picks, get the players, and come back in a year or two. If that's the case, then he's not the long-term future for Dallas. If Dallas feels like we add a piece here or there, maybe we get another wide receiver, maybe we get another complimentary back that can play and take a lot of the snaps at running back to get that running game going, and we'll hold court for the next couple of years, then I think Dak is the quarterback for the future for the Cowboys. It all depends on where the Cowboys want to go. They're in a position where they can kind of go either way. So they can make the decision that we're going to stay the course, try to add a running back, maybe add another piece or two through the draft, see what we can find in free agency. Cowboys will do a lot in free agency, but they will make a move here and there. Or they say, you know what? Let's bottom it out. Let's see what we got with Trey Lance, and let's rebuild. So it all depends on which way you're going to go for me. Coach, what do you think?
I think he's not. But the thing about it is the quarterback, their quarterback that's going to help them take it to the promised land isn't on this team. Like I said, I don't think Trey Lance is that guy. But I mean, I may be wrong.
I'm gonna go in another different direction. I see the same thing with Dallas, the way they had Tony Romo there. Until Jerry is going to be forced to draft one. So I don't see them drafting the quarterback or getting a quarterback or replacing Dak right now. Jerry is just Jerry. He's like Al Davis, the old Al Davis. He's going to hold on to Dak until Dak can't do it. I mean, we all know that Dak has certain limitations, he had good games, and then when he had bad games, he really had bad games. Is he the answer for them? No, but you can ask, is Mike McCarthy is the answer for them too? So I mean, we don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, Jerry is going to be the only one to answer that, and it's going to take something significant to make him really get off of Dak Prescott, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Ben, all yours, sir.
So the question is not simple. It's complex, as I think a couple of you have alluded to. But the bottom line to me is this. At this moment, Dak is Kirk Cousins, Tony Romo, might as well all be the same person. They're going to get you regular season wins. They're going to get you regular season stats. Then come down to the playoffs, they ain't going to get it done. And until he does, that narrative is true. Because it's not a narrative, actually. It's true. He hasn't gotten it done in January. And until he does, he is those guys. Those guys last in the NFL a long time. They'll be your starting quarterback for a long time. They don't get you one of these. But they'll keep you relevant. They'll keep you in the playoffs. So unless he, and part of the problem you alluded to is McCarthy. McCarthy, for a play caller, which he is the play caller, a play caller that isn't putting, and I'm not making excuses, so before someone comes at me, I'm not. I'm the first to criticize Dak when he deserves it, which he does sometimes. But for a play caller to not put your offense in the best position to succeed, let's say, obviously, the Niners, they have weapons, but their scheme is great. Miami, they have weapons, but their scheme is great. Those play callers are putting their offenses in the best chances to succeed. McCarthy's not doing that. And if your play caller ain't doing that, you got to be elite. Dak is not elite and will never be elite. So to me, he can't overcome McCarthy's shortcomings because he's not elite. He's not top 5. He never will be. So to me, I don't know. To me, it's like Dak is a good quarterback who, am I going to sit here and say he'll never win a Super Bowl or he's not capable? I don't think that would be fair, because I think at his best, he's a top 8 to 12, somewhere in the 8 to 12. At his best, I think he's in the top 10 at his absolute best. You can win a Super Bowl with that. You don't need a top 5 quarterback. So is it possible he does? Sure. But to me, at this point, it's more likely he has the Tony Romo, Kirk Cousins career. So that's where I'm at.
All right. And then to the Commanders. Oh, sorry. What do the Cowboys need to see from Dak for the remainder of this season?
It's only January. What he does from now till the end of the season, as long as they make the playoffs, it doesn't matter. What does he do in January?
Oh. Fair enough. Martin, anything to add to that?
No, I'm good.
Couch, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it boils down to if they got to go to Santa Clara, that's what it all it boils down to when they play San Francisco 49ers, either in the first round divisional. That's all that matters. Got to get through that hurdle.
They ain't beating them. If they got to go through the Eagles in Detroit in January, not saying they will, but they got a damn better shot. If they don't got to play the 49ers in January, they got a hell of a lot better shot to make the Super Bowl, because that's a mental block that they ain't getting through. They ain't getting over it. They ain't getting through it. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I'll side with Martin. I think I don't really have anything much to add to that. It's all about what you do when the playoffs get here.
Yeah.
So Scrub says, I think the Cowboys can win with Dak, but that's depending on the coaching staff properly utilizing him. AP says, I need to know what's the point in Trey Lance being there.
To be honest, I thought they were going to use Trey Lance like in goal-to-goal situations, like first and goal. I thought they'd use him as a runner. I thought that, to be honest, to be frank, they should be doing that. Use his athletic ability. He's on the roster.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised that he's not coming in, or at least, that would be my thing. Because right now, to his point and your guys' point, he's the third stringer just sitting there doing nothing.
Yep. And then Talking Real says Dak Debo better than Dak McCarthy. I will say college coaches normally suck, and I mean suck really bad at their first NFL job.
I think he's trying to say Dable. Because he was saying that above too. I think he's trying to say Dable and Dak.
Nah, I think he's talking about Debo. Maybe he's talking about Dabo, but I think he's talking about
the Clemson coach?
Dabo? Yep, that's what I think he's talking about.
That's what
he's trying to say.
Possibly.
Maybe he's trying to say Dabo. I don't know.
Yeah, he probably saying Dabo.
Talking Real.
Not no
he can clear it up for us. He can clear it up for us.
Well, it says Coach Debo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could be Dabo, it could be Dabo, or it could be Dabo, or it could be Dabo. It's kind of like in the middle. So
I would assume it's Dabo. I would assume. I don't know.
He can clear it up for us. So AP says your next head coach is already on the team. It's your DC. And then AP also says, do you miss Kellen Moore?
Dabo.
I know the answer.
So Dabo. He answered it, by the way. Dabo.
Yeah, so Dabo. So he's talking about
Sweeney.
Dabo Sweeney. Yeah, that's what I thought he was talking about.
Yeah. Kellen Moore. That's a good one. I would think so. First in red zone, 29th in red zone. Yeah. But Zeke not being there is a big deal too.
Yeah, the difference is you don't have the same staff. You don't have the same personnel that you had last year. And Kellen Moore did not play Dak the same way he did when he played Dak's backup when Dak was hurt. Had he ran the same type of offense with Dak, I think the Cowboys would have been better last year, to be honest. But for some reason, he never wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think he's got a quarterback that works better for him, and that's why he looks better. Same thing I was saying with a rookie. The coach has to have the right personnel for the way he wants to call offense. Yeah. I don't think Dak was the guy for him. So if I was Dallas, I wouldn't miss him. So Dak is a guy who can contribute to a championship. He needs the rest of the team to really drive them home. That's what Scrub says. Scrub also says Dak just got to stay healthy. Then we look at the games and game plans in January. So in Talking Real tells us Dabo. And then Cowboys don't have no power backs either, Scrub says. Completely agree with that.
I wanted them to sign Fournette, to be honest, in the offseason, not even recently. I wanted them to get Fournette. Yeah, but 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, he can do that.
Fournette is swole. I wouldn't mind having him on the Eagles right now the way he looked.
He's super swole.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on to Sam Howell. So will Sam Howell develop into the Commanders' QB of the future? Couch Coach, we'll start with you.
Duh. I've been telling y'all this since August. So yes.
All right. Martin.
Hell to the yeah. I mean, I'm calling it right now. Sam Howell is about to lead the league in passing. I'm about to call it right now. Sam Howell shows what he can do. Now, I mean, and we cool, you already alluded to it. We already talked about it in the beginning of the show. These quarterbacks need systems. They need everything to be built around them. Sam Howell is in the perfect situation with Eric Bieniemy. If I could take them to the altar and have them married right now, I would do that. Keep them together. I think Washington's success is going to be based on it. I don't want to see another quarterback. I don't want to see another change of coaching or whatever besides Ron Rivera. Because, I've been calling for Ron Rivera here since last year, so I'm still on that. That ain't about to change. So
yes, you have.
But I want to see. I think Sam Howell can develop into that quarterback. He is the future of the quarterback. We have not had a quarterback. I mean, he has done stuff that we have not had quarterbacks did since for years. And so I love what I see from him. I want him to continue to grow. Yeah, he took a lot of sacks this year. They reworked their offensive line, and I think with these multiple draft picks they got from Sweat and Chase is going to help them to develop. I do say this: you get him a tight end, and boy, this offense is going to be looking something special next year.
Ben?
My answer is yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes as well. A couple of comments. AP says Sam Howell is the future. It's our line that's killing him. Scrub says, hey, I'm still not sold on Howell, but I give him credit for playing better as the season has progressed. Talking Real says Sam has an upside as long as they don't ruin him with OC changes. Definitely agree with all those comments. All right. And then the other question is, what do you see as his biggest areas of improvement for the remainder of the season for Sam Howell?
I'll take. I mean, go ahead, Couch. You can go ahead because you're at the top.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just getting the ball out quicker, and then also too, I think a thing that I think as he progressed, like I talked about it earlier, cool, where he could get greedy because this, he had that trait like in North Carolina as well. So I think as long as he kind of just keep it even keeled, release the ball a little bit quicker, and I think that's the only thing he really need to work out, in my personal opinion.
I think just being more aware. His awareness is starting to come into play a little bit more. He's showing that not take too many chances because you had an easy touchdown going into the half, and you could have settled for 3, but you want. Excuse me.
Bless you, sir. Bless you.
Ooh.
Bless you. Bless you.
Oh, that's the NFC East coming out of me. I think he had an easy touchdown that he could have rerouted it a different way. He's starting to be, come out the pocket a little bit more, pick up the necessary yards, making defense is a little bit more, I guess you could say pretty much at bay, keep them at bay a little bit. So there's a little bit things like not holding the ball, make a little bit better decisions, try to avoid sacks, but that comes in with his awareness and the offensive line continue to play well. I think the last few games of the season is going to be a telling tape of how well he has progressed.
Ben, any thoughts?
I would say just the turnovers. Cut down on them. That's an area of improvement. So I would say the turnovers and then, I think to his point, getting greedy, part of that is holding onto the ball too long, which is leading to some of the sacks. So those two areas, the sacks, getting better at getting rid of the ball or throwing it away, and the turnovers, I think those are the two biggest things to watch for Howell the rest of the season.
All right. I'm just going to say film room and weight room. There's two places that Sam needs to really spend his free time at. Film room and the weight room. That's why I think he can. That's how I think he can improve. All right, so we'll skip down. We're already at the hour and about 15-minute mark. So we'll skip down to our picks for next week. All right, so we've only really got 2 games we need to talk about. So we got the Giants versus the Cowboys. We'll go around. Ben, we'll start with you this time. Who's going to win the game? Why? And if you want to give a score prediction, feel free to.
I don't think this needs to be complicated. Cowboys are going to win. And if they don't, then they might as well retire the rest of the season. Like the roster that the Giants are playing with, the 53 versus our 53. If Dallas loses, that'll be more inexcusable than the Cardinals loss, and that's saying a lot. Because right now that is extremely inexcusable. I would say this would be even more inexcusable. So Dallas is winning the game.
All right. I'll go Dallas as well. I think it'll be a closer game than most people give the Giants credit for. It is a divisional game. I think if you looked at it before we played the Commanders, for instance, the 2 times we played them, you would think the games would be a little bit more one-sided. But I think when you add in that factor that it is divisional games, you'll probably get a little bit closer than you expect. But I do expect Dallas to be able to pick up the win. This is a game that Dallas should win.
I think the line is too high, to your point. 17-point favorites. I think that's a little too high.
Absolutely. Martin, let's go with you. Any thoughts?
Who's the starting quarterback for the Giants?
Danny DeVito's nephew.
Danny DeVito.
Um,
I heard Stephen A. this week on First Take. Danny DeVito, Tommy DeVito. I mean Danny DeVito.
I think the Dallas defense is going to have a dominant game where the offense is not going to won't have to worry about doing as much in this game because Giants is pretty depleted. And one thing that Dan Quinn does, he blitz a lot, and especially if you got a unproven quarterback back there, then he's going to unleash the hounds, if you may say. And that'll help Dak out, where he could just coast through the game. You know what I'm saying? So with this game, if the defense eats the way I think they're going to eat against them, now, yeah, Wink Martindale might send some blitzes here or there, but that's not going to hold up for long because they're not going to be able to score points because Dallas defense is going to continue to attack them and make them get in 3 and out or force them to turn the ball over. And it's going to give a short field to Dallas offense. So I won't be surprised if this game becomes a blowout just because of that.
All right. Anything to add, Couch?
Yeah, and for my bet, man, I take that plus 14. Like even though it is a classic NFC East battle, but Tommy DeVito, TD is the quarterback, and when you talk about Terrell Davis, or Tommy DeVito, that's all you need to say.
Real Wise TV says Dallas is going to whip them worse than the first game. Scrub says, Danny, sorry, Tommy DeVito. That boy only got one chance, and that's for the Giants to get an opening drive touchdown. Can it happen? Possibly. Will it happen? I think not.
Yeah,
AP says Cowboys win over 15. Washington win over 3. And Scrub says, sad thing is this is the kind of game that the Giants have found ways to win when they should lose. Scrub says Cowboys by 14 plus.
Yeah,
Scrub also
they ain't winning. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say they ain't winning by more than 40 points. Real Wise said it's going to be worse. They ain't winning by more than 40.
Yeah, so Scrub says biggest thing for Howell to improve on is living to see another down, like Livewire and Ben are saying, not living to see another down. Random comment: USC versus my Oregon has 16 NFL scouts from 13 teams there. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, Bo Nix is there, so that makes sense. Caleb Williams is there, so that makes sense. So I mean, that makes sense. I'm surprised there's only 13 with 16. The 13 teams should be a few more. If you ask me. But the other game that we have this week, we have the Washington Commanders versus the Seattle Seahawks. I will start, then Ben will go, and then I'll let our Commanders fans finish things up. I'm going to go with the Commanders. I think the Commanders are the more complete team. You've got the receiver for a second time in his career punching Geno Smith in the face because he's not getting the ball. You got stuff like that going on between your star receiver and your quarterback. You're not winning games. That means there's toxicity in the locker room. There's drama behind the scenes, that type of stuff. You got that type of stuff, man, you're not going to win games. So in my opinion, I felt like even if things were equal, I still would pick the Commanders. But when you add that drama in as well, I'm definitely picking the Commanders to win this game. Seattle, y'all got to figure out a way to get it together, but you're not going to be able to do it this week because it's still going to be on Geno Smith's mind every time my man running wide open. Like, that's that sucker who punched me in my face. Piss on him. I'm throwing the ball somewhere else. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I'm going Seattle just partially because of their embarrassment last weekend, getting absolutely roasted by the Ravens. Seattle's at home, so I'm gonna say Seattle gets the dub.
All right, I'm gonna let y'all pick who go first. Couch,
you go ahead.
Okay.
All right, I definitely think that the Washington Commanders will win this football game by a steady offensive game plan, obviously keeping Sam Howell with his equal opportunity offense, coupled with, I think, our run game is going to be essential, especially if you look at situation with the Ravens last week. He was able to run all over run all over Seattle. And I think defensively, I think if we can keep Gino in the pocket and create some turnovers, we'll be right at 500, right at the time that you need to be at 500. And let's go to Detroit in July. I mean, in third week in January. Let's go.
I'm picking my Commanders, but a little tad bit note here is that we are undefeated. We have a winning record in November. We are 7-1 in the last 2 years in November. The Commanders are 7-1 all time in Seattle. With that being said, I think this team has proven the last few weeks how to win games, how to put points, how to be more of a complete team. I'm not. A lot of people keep asking me about the chasing the Montez thing. I really don't care. I just, like I said, this team played better. This team defense had played better when they was out last few years. So, and they showed that they played better. They played good last week. Yeah, we don't get the sacks, but the quarterback pressure, we didn't have guys running up the middle on us. We gave up one big play last week, and that was it. But everything else got shut down. And I do believe this team is going to come into Seattle. The game is going to be close, but we're going to win the game. Kenneth Walker has not did well in the last few games as he started off the season, and we don't give up a lot on the running game. So they're going to have to either – and I'm not worried about Geno Smith running out of the pocket because he's not that fast. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is Washington will win the game. It's going to be in the 20s, but Washington will win. I'll give it a 3-point win for them.
All right, guys, we got a couple. Oh, go ahead, Martin.
And they'll be 8-1 in November.
All right. So we got a couple of more comments here, and I'll just have everybody go around, let everybody know where they can find you, and we'll be done for the evening. All right, so Damian Hernandez, what's up? Damian says DeVito can't be any worse than having Dak as franchise QB. AP says I don't want DK to turn into an AJ Brown and hurt us. AP, we're not going to do that. AJ Brown hasn't done anything but be the second best receiver in the NFL this year. So if you don't want DK to turn into the second best receiver in the NFL, that's crazy. I don't know why you wouldn't want that for DK. AJ Brown's never hit anybody in the face. Just want to make sure we're clear on that. The AJ Brown slander is blasphemy. I will allow it though, because we are the Eagles and nobody likes us, so we don't care. But at least be accurate to blasphemy. That's all I'm asking. All right. Scrub says I'll take the Seahawks, but I wouldn't put money on it. Scrub says let's go Big Gino, and he says the Eagles win the bye week by default. I like Scrub. I like that. All right. So Tony the Savant says what's good, fellas? Great show. Appreciate that, Tony. And then Damien says Washington defense looks a little bit sketchy without Sweat and Chase since last weekend. Didn't look that sketchy to me, man.
I don't know what team you looking at.
Didn't look that sketchy to me. I think people soapbox moment real quick, and then we get up out here. For me, sometimes what people need to realize, you have all these great players, but other guys kind of take a back seat because this guy's here. Once that guy is gone or those guys are gone, other guys feel more comfortable stepping in, being more aggressive, making plays, and being participators and not watching the game. Because you can have times where guys are on the field watching because you have these great players, and when they're gone, guys understand we got to step up.
Exactly.
And then AP says, so you didn't have a Giants fan here, must have been scared. The Giants fan is in the comments commenting and not on the show. And that's Scrub. So if you're supposed to be here and you're commenting in the comments, that's okay. So he's being on the show through the comments. But maybe we'll get Scrub on next week. We'll see. But Ben, we'll start with you, man. Appreciate you hopping in with us today, man. Love to have you anytime you're free. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Had a great time talking football, and my Twitter handle, still calling it Twitter. I don't care about X.
Exactly.
Calling it Twitter. The Twitter handle's right there at Ben DTS Podcast. We have Death, Taxes, and Sports podcast. Started about a year and a half ago. 110 episodes, I think. 110 will be on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So you can find us there, and appreciate you guys, and yeah.
All right, Martin, let's go with you next, sir.
Well, you can find
Mr. Live
me.
Wire.
You can find me everywhere. You can find me here on the NFC Beast on Saturday nights when the Miami Hurricanes is not playing nightly games. So you can find me on Twitter, X. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Spotify podcast also. And you can find me on Saturday mornings doing college football showdown. I'm just everywhere. So therefore, I'm not hard to find. Just look me up, Livewire Sports Media.
Couch Coach.
All right. So definitely check out the podcast, Couch Coach Live, every Wednesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Pretty much social media, Facebook, like I said, Twitter, aka X, YouTube, TikTok. This Couch Coach Live. Search that. Then also my Commander-centric podcast, Commanders in the Chat. So pretty much be Commanders ITC on social media and also on YouTube. And catch me here on the NFC Beast every Saturday, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you can check that on BS3 Network and then also on my Couch Coach Live Twitter X page. And yeah.
That dude said Twitter X. He just put it all together. Like, what else?
Twitter X.
Hey.
He said X me, X that.
No, so two YouTube channels that I want you to hop on to find your boy. YouTube.com at Real Play Callers and YouTube.com at Eagles Elite Podcast. Those same @s. Twitter X. I'm gonna go with Couch Coach. You can find me on Twitter X at those. You can find me on Instagram with those. And also tomorrow at noon, right before you get ready to do your early games, you listen to these same people that tell you the same thing over and over again, blah blah blah, every week. They give you some glitter. A turd is still a turd if you put glitter on it, right? But you listen to the same stuff. So instead of doing that, why don't you go to wdrbmedia.com or TuneIn app, WDRB Media, and check out your boy, Cooling the Game, at 12 noon Eastern Time, leading you into the games tomorrow. Game picks, talk a little college sports, a little bit of what's on my mind. I haven't descended into madness yet, but I guarantee if you give me more time, it will happen. But guys, we appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you tune in next week. Next week, we will not be live, but hopefully we'll have one or two people in the comments that may be able to hop on and get in the comments with y'all and kind of respond to things. But we will be pre-taping, but we will still be at this time slot for you to watch us next week. Why? Because we're going to try something different and see how it works. Let's get it. Guys, appreciate it. And we are done for the evening.
All right.